Part 136. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1352. The last one. After finishing the phone call with Ying Ying, Tan Shahen let out a long sigh. The holiday work of each company below has been arranged. The Spring Festival duty personnel and duty system for each project have also been implemented. It is time to leave for the holidays. All of them have gone home, and the last ones left are the general managers of their branches. Whether it is Wuhan or Xiamen, they are not far from Hangzhou. The general managers of all their branches drove back to Hangzhou by themselves. Fortunately, they came back with them, as well as colleagues from the company, so they were not alone. Don't worry about what might happen on the road. Tan Shahen told Ying Ying to pay attention to safety on the road and don't rush home. After driving too fast, hang up the phone. This year's work for the whole year has basically been completed. She looked around the entire office. This year, all the funds that should be arranged have been arranged long ago. There was no one in the office chasing her for money. Recalling the scene at this time last year, Tan Shahen couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Lao Tan and Lu Ligan walked into her office. Tan Shahen told them this feeling, and Lu Ligan shouted, "Are you a bitch? You still want to be forced into debt every day? Do you want to be like Yang Beilao and become addicted?" Tan Shahen smiled and said, "I don't want to," but at that time, people were really excited. It was not like now. It was too bland and boring. Lao Tan also smiled and said, "I understand you, Zhen Zhen. When we were in the army, the South Vietnamese monkeys would often come to harass us. Our base would often enter the first level of combat readiness. At that time, we were all very excited. We were looking forward to a fight this time and teaching the South Vietnamese monkeys a lesson, but when the fight didn't happen, everyone was disappointed and felt it was boring. Okay, if we put it in the war years, you too would be war madman," Lu Ligan said. "I still like this, the spring breeze blows on my face every day." "You still want to be a little bird," Tan Shahen sneered at him. Lao Tan laughed and said, "Let's go, it's almost time." Tan Shahen stood up. They are going to Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. Today is a dinner party for all their good friends in Hangzhou. It is also a farewell banquet for Liu Bang and Wang Minzheng, the founders of the Han Dynasty. Tomorrow, the two of them will go to Shanghai to catch the Spring Festival cross-strait Taiwanese businessmen. Chartered flight back to Taiwan. This year's cross-strait charter flight finally took place. The plane only needs to go around the Hong Kong flight information region and does not have to land in Hong Kong and Macau. This is much more convenient than connecting in Hong Kong. Wang Minzheng knew that Xiang Nanziongbei and Chu Tianlin's son would come, so he specially made 3 small cakes and brought them over to them. The 3 children were very happy. Wu Zaiwai saw it and shouted, "Where's ours, Minzheng, where's our baby's cake?" Wang Minzheng and Wu Zaiwai said, "If you ask your son to call me uncle, I will go and do it for him right now." Everyone laughed. Wu Kaiwai's son was still in Wei Wenfang's belly. He was only 4 months old. When Lu Ligan saw Wei Wenfang's big belly in front of him, he shouted, "Wei Wenfang has finally been promoted. Congratulations." Wei Wenfang didn't know what he was talking about. Wu Zaiwai smiled and said, "Mr. Lu is saying that you have become the director of the department." Only then did Wei Wenfang realize. Wu Zaiwai said, "Mr. Lu, please flatter us. Our son might be able to become prime minister in the future." "Shit, I don't know if it's true or not," Lu Ligan said. "I'm talking about my son just to comfort you, a patriarchal person like you." Wu Zaiwai chuckled. "Can't a woman be prime minister?" Wei Wenfang asked, unconvinced. "Be realistic and add one word, regardless of gender. It is reasonable to let him be your general manager. The position of prime minister should be reserved for other talents," Lu Ligan said. 2 mothers, Tan Shahen and Lin Shuwen, one on each side, sat on the left and right of Wei Wenfang. They kept imparting their experiences as pregnant women to Wei Wenfang, and Wei Wenfang kept nodding. "Awen, do you want me to take something back?" Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, asked Lin Shuwen. Lin Shuwen patted her head, stood up quickly, took her bag from Old Tang, opened the bag, took out 2 envelopes from it, and gave them to Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, seeing 2 envelopes, one with grandma written on it and the other with brother written on it, he looked at Lin Shuwen in confusion. Lin Shuwen said to him, "Brother Liu, these are 2 letters I wrote to my grandma and my brother. Thank you for helping me burn them on their graves. Everything I am here now, I told you in the letter they are." Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, nodded and understood. He put the envelope away and was about to put it back into his bag. He thought of something and said to Lin Shuwen, "Awen, write down your address so that when your grandma and brother want to find you, they know where to look." Yes, Lin Shuwen agreed. Old Tang had already taken out the pen and handed it to Lin Shuwen. Lin Shuwen wrote on the envelope, "Hangcheng City, Zhejiang Province, mainland China." "But what should I do if my grandma can't read?" Lin Shuwen asked. Zhang Chen said, "Don't worry, the neighbor will read it to her. Besides, she can also ask your brother." "Yes, thank you, brother." Lin Shuwen nodded and continued to write. After finishing one letter, she then wrote the second one. After she finished writing, she picked it up and blew it with her mouth to dry the ink. Then she folded it up and gave it to Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, collected the letter. "All right. I also want to write a letter to my mother and father. Where should we burn it?" Zhang Xiangbei asked Zhang Chen. He Hungmei and Zhang Xiangbei said, "Bai Bei, you have written the letter. You don't need to burn it. Just read it to your mother. Aunt Chuan needs to burn it because she has not gone back." "Zhang Xiangbei, read your transcript to Aunt Xiaozhao," Xiangnan said. "After studying, my mother knows that although I am still a piece of garbage, I have improved from before," Zhang Xiangbei said. Everyone laughed, and Lu Ligan said, "That's right, Zhang Xiangbei, if you dare to admit that you are a trash and have the courage to laugh at yourself, you will be invincible in the future." "Same as you?" Tan Shahen asked. Lu Ligan thought for a while and said seriously, "A little worse than me. I laugh at myself every day and all the time." "Are you bragging that you are invincible?" Zhang Chen asked, and everyone laughed. "Your bragging skills are comparable to those of Lu Xiu, Emperor Guanggu of the Eastern Han Dynasty," Zhang Chen continued. "When Lu Xiu became the emperor, he asked Yan Xiling to be an admonishment doctor. Yan Xiling refused and hid in the Fukun River in Tonglu. Bian went fishing, and Lu Xiu invited him again, but Yan Xiling was very disrespectful and refused to go. After Yan Xiling's death, Lu Xiu wrote a commemorative article. If I go, it's our Tonglu's business." "What does the article say?" Wu Zayawai asked eagerly. At the beginning of the article, it says, "A great king in ancient times must have ministers who did not call him. How dare I minister to Yan Xiling?" Listen, this tone says that he is praising Yan Xiling, but in fact he is praising himself. He is praising Yan Xiling for not. If you are willing to serve as an official, you are a minister who is not summoned. Why are there ministers who are not summoned? Because he is a promising king. Is this bragging ability the same as a pole? Zhang Chen said that everyone laughed, and Wu Zayawai asked curiously, "Mr. Zhang, how can you, a painter, know this?" Zhang Chen asked, "Have you never been to the Yan Xiling fishing platform? There is a stone tablet erected at the Yan Xiling fishing platform in Tonglu. On it is the book of Lu Xiu and Yan Xiling, and this article is engraved on it." Wu Zayawai scratched his head and said, "Just play fishing platforms, who would look at these broken stone monuments?" The next day, Zhang Chen asked Xiao Sheng to drive Han Emperor Liu Bang and Wang Minsheng to Shanghai Pudong Airport. He also went to the factory to see off the last batch of workers. Zhang Chen and his team arrived in Sanya at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on February 7, the 29th of the year. Meng Ping and his team arrived at noon. Meng Ping and Qian Fang followed the bus from Ban Mu Tian Resort Hotel. Pick up Zhang Chen and the others at the airport. Xiao Ding and Xiao Zheng drove their own cars and came to the airport to wait for them. What reassured Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen during this trip was that old Lu seemed to have forgotten what happened the year before last. When he saw old Tan and his wife at Xiaoshan Airport, he greeted them from afar and said, "Teacher Tan, long time no see." He went to Sanya again. We went to Sanya to eat seafood and drink old wine. Lao Tan also smiled and said, "Okay, let's have a couple of drinks when we get there." What's happening here? Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen were both dumbfounded. They looked at each other and asked each other what was going on. However, no matter what happens, as long as everyone can live in peace, everything will be fine. After everyone met, Xiao Ding and Zhang Chen said that you came at the right time. The key point is to go to Nanshan to see the Guanyin on the sea. It is 108 meters high and is the tallest Guanyin statue in the world. It has been built, but it is not open to the public yet. The consecration ceremony will be held on April 24, which is the 16th day of the third month of the lunar calendar, the birthday of Chunti Bodhisattva. I have already agreed that I can take you in first to take a look. When Xiao Ding said this, everyone became excited. We had seen the news that Sanya was building the world's tallest Guanyin statue in the news. We didn't expect that we would have the opportunity to take a sneak peek before it was open to the public. Everyone naturally looking forward to it. This time, Zhang Chen's own hotel was still full, but they did not stay at the Jinling Resort, but at the Shanhaishan Hotel on the other side of their Banmuishan Resort Hotel. Cao Minfang and Zhang Chen said that the Jinling Resort was too old. Shanhaishan has just been renovated. Besides, there is nothing new about staying in a hotel all the time. Zhang Chen felt that what Cao Minfang said made sense. They arrived at the Shanhaishan Hotel. The business at the Shanhaishan Hotel seemed to be better than that at the Jinling Resort. In the hotel's garden, tourists were coming and going. Xiao Ding and Zhang Chen said that it wasn't this hotel that was doing good, but the current hotels in Sanya. Business is pretty good. Jinling Resort should have an occupancy rate of 89% at this time. It looks like Sanya is up, Lao Tan asked. Xiao Ding said that you are right. You have not been here for 2 years. Sanya has changed a lot now that you have gone to the urban area to see it. It is much more beautiful than before. By the way, Mr. Zhang, you have contributed to this. Most of the urban area has changed. The greening is all provided by your company. While everyone was talking, they had already arrived at the entrance of Shanhaishan Hotel. They got out of the car and walked into the hotel lobby. Li Yang and Su Jiaking were waiting for them here, as were Lao Zhang and Xiao Zhao's father. At first glance, Zhang Chen and others were shocked. Lao Zhang and Xiao Zhao's father were completely different from what they were more than 10 days ago. With black glaze. Zhang Xiangbei shouted, "Grandpa, Grandpa, how did you become Africans?" Lao Zhang laughed and said, "It's busy. You don't know how busy the flower garden is now, especially during the Chinese New Year. There are so many units that need to rent flowers and trees. We have been busy from morning to night. Today, we have just there's time to take a break." Lao Zhang said to Zhang Chen, "Don't blame Xiao Cao. She lets us rest every day. We have to do it ourselves. That Xiao Cao is a woman. She moves up and down there by herself. How can you live with nothing?" However, Sanya is a really weird place. People never get tired. No matter how tired you are, you can just take a nap and recover. Brother, that's because the air here is good. When I was in Sanya, I didn't catch a cold for several years, Lao Tan and Lao Zhang said. Thank you to Blue Imagination and Book Friends 201906091429492991 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1353. Xiaoding is no longer the mayor of Tiandu Town, but the deputy director of the Sanya Municipal Government Office, responsible for the business and tourism lines. During dinner, Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, and Li Yang sat at the same table with Lao Tan, Xiao Zheng, Xiaoding and several other comrades. Xiaoding and Zhang Chen said, "Mr. Zhang, there is a project. I wonder if you understand it? Can I tell you about it?" Zhang Chen said yes. Xiaoding told Zhang Chen that Sanya has a weak foundation. Although it has developed now, look at Dadonghai and Yalong Bay. They are already in full swing. Sanya Bay is also being developed, but these are commercial projects. Our headache is that there are too few public facilities in the city, which are increasingly incompatible with our developing city. But Sanya's natural conditions are unique compared with other sister cities. We want to build a world tropical plant and bird park. Our city government definitely does not have so much money to invest, so we want to introduce private funds. We will allocate 1,200 acres of land for free and 3,400 acres of mountainous land for this project. In this park, we will allow construction for a resort-style hotel. Of course, the hotel's land area will be strictly controlled and cannot exceed 1% of the total area. At the same time, in order to support this project, we will allocate 32 acres of commercial land in the city center, on Renmin Road, as supporting land to this project free of charge. How much is the total investment of the project? Lu Ligan asked. Let's calculate, it's probably about 100 million. After all, such a large area needs to be built into an independent space. Birds are afraid of flying out. I understand why we need to build an independent space for this plant. Our botanical garden in Nanjing has no walls, Li Yang said. There is no one in Hangzhou. Although there is a gate and tickets are sold, they are meant to deceive outsiders. Locals enter from the side. There is a road and it passes through the botanical garden, Lu Ligan said. Those are all local plants. If it were a world tropical botanical garden, introducing a large number of overseas plants without independent space would cause an ecological disaster, Zhang Chen said. The water hyacinth we see now was imported from South America as pig feed. Introduced, because there are no natural predators, it has overflowed in our country, and now the most damaging thing to water bodies in the south is water hyacinth. Look, Mr. Zhang still understands this. That's the truth, Xiaoding said. To tell you the truth, we have talked with a few people. The investment of 100 million did not scare them. They did the math. Go, but what I think is not cost-effective is the subsequent management. You also know that to manage and maintain such a large park, ticket revenue alone is definitely not enough. In addition, the hotels in Sanya are very seasonal and it is already good to be able to maintain a hotel without losing money. It is unrealistic to rely on this hotel to support this park. Furthermore, Sanya's local population is too small and cannot reach the scale of a prefecture-level city in the mainland. The commercial land in the urban area is actually not of high commercial value, Meng Ping said. Xiaoding laughed and said, "It seems that you businessmen all have the same vision." Xiaoding turned to Zhang Chen and said to Zhang Chen, "But when I talked about this with Mr. Zhang, I think Mr. Zhang has advantages that others don't have." While Xiaoding was talking, he touched the tuft of hair on the mole on his right cheek. It was a habitual action for him, but the others looked a little uncomfortable and wanted to slap his hand away. "Don't touch those hanging hairs of yours. We are all our own, Xiaoding. If you have anything to say, just say it." Old Tan also got impatient and cursed, making everyone laugh. Xiaoding said, "Mr. Zhang's nursery is no longer enough. Xiao Cao has also approached me many times, but there is really no way to expand around this nursery. I thought, if the nursery is merged into this botanical garden, your space will suddenly be larger, and your business can be expanded to the whole province. Who is willing to buy flowers and plants that can be purchased in Sanya outside the island? Yes, this is an idea. Lu Ligan interrupted Xiao Ding and shouted. And I think Mr. Zhang already has a hotel. With another hotel, staff can be deployed during the off-peak season. This will save a lot of hotel costs. Besides, Xiao Cao is already too busy with the conferences you receive every year. Come on, there is this hotel, which can also be used to divert traffic. When Xiao Ding said this, everyone thought it made sense. It seemed that when Xiao Ding mentioned this matter today, it was not just a whim. He had already thought of Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen said, yes, I will think about it. By the way, can you take us to see this place tomorrow? Xiao Ding said, okay, then I will come to pick you up at 9:30 tomorrow morning. They had dinner in the half-acre field. Xiao Ding, Xiao Zheng, and the others accompanied Lao Tan and his wife and the second-rate couple to the Yulin base to visit the old leaders. The children, women, and old people went to play on the beach in front. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, and the others were sitting in the lobby of the hotel, smoking, and talking about what Xiao Ding had said before. This more than 4,000 acres of land sounds a bit tempting, as it is as big as my city in the sky, Lu Ligan said. What's so tempting? Meng Ping said, this is a park. Although the land is in your name, its nature cannot be changed. In 50 years, it will still be park land. The larger the park area, Xiao Ding said, yes, the cost of maintenance is higher. Not only do plants need maintenance, but there are so many birds. How much food do you need to feed them every day? Lu Ligan listened to Meng Ping's words and thought it made sense. These birds are all raised in captivity. You can't expect them to forage for food on their own. They must be artificially fed. Not only does it cost money to feed the birds, but you also need to pay for the labor to feed the birds. Paying wages, let alone introducing these plants and birds, costs money, and not a small amount of money. I'm looking for an expert, Lu Ligan said and picked up the phone. He saw Zhang Chen and Meng Ping looking at him and said to them, Mr. Han. Lu Ligan dialed Mr. Han's phone number. As soon as Mr. Han heard that they were in Sanya, he blamed him and said, why didn't you notify me when you arrived in Sanya? I will come too. Lu Ligan laughed and said, I was just about to invite you, but I didn't expect you to come uninvited. Okay, please bring Wenwen with you. We will have New Year's Eve dinner here tomorrow. We still have something to ask you. Lu Ligan told Mr. Han what Xiao Ding said. Mr. Han said, let's set off now. I will go with you tomorrow morning and see the place before talking. Lu Ligan said, yes, we will wait for you for midnight snack. After putting down the phone, Lu Ligan told Zhang Chen and Meng Ping the news that Mr. Han was about to come out. Both of them were very happy to hear it. Meng Ping said, just in time, I still have a lot to ask Mr. Han. Zhang Chen went to the front desk and asked the front desk to help him call the front desk of Shen Haitian Hotel and request a suite. Almost 3 hours later, Mr. Han and Wenwen arrived. After settling down, they all went to the beach stall for a late-night snack. After sitting down, Mr. Han asked Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, and Qian Fang how they were doing. Are you having a good time this year? Lu Ligan said, fortunately, I called Mr. Han at that time, and you reminded me that macro control has not passed yet, and more severe measures will come. We made preparations early this year, and it was not that bad. Meng Ping said, I don't have any projects anyway. I just look at this real estate and feel increasingly confused. Qian Fang talked to Mr. Han about their villa. It was strange that no one wanted the cheap villa, but everyone grabbed it for the expensive one. Mr. Han smiled and said, it's not surprising. You have to ask for everything first, then for the best. The same goes for houses. When everyone is in a housing shortage, you can give them a multi-story building of 50 or 60 square meters, with independent kitchens and gas bathrooms. He is very satisfied, but after meeting the basic living needs, before buying a second home, he has to consider it carefully, rather than own it. For rich people, even more so, the real estate market will definitely become an increasingly segmented market in the future. Moreover, you must understand the truth that any macro control will cause a bad economic situation. Generally speaking, but there are some exceptions. For wealthy people, the worse the economic situation is, the smaller the impact on them and the more opportunities they have. Why? The money in his hands is valuable. If others want to invest but are unable to invest, he can invest. Things that used to cost 1 million can now be done with 900,000. Let's not talk about other things. Let's not talk about spending money. If you use it for private lending, you can even negotiate with banks on interest rates. This alone can increase your income a lot. As Mr. Han spoke, he turned to Qian Fang and said to her, "You must position yourself accurately. Don't think about doing all kinds of villas, including high schools, and low-level villas. That is impossible, and it will also have a negative impact on your subsequent property management. Troubled, if you want to build a high-end product, you should focus on the high-end market, refine it, and replace other projects in your hands. Don't do the business of 1 in 1,000 people. If you want to do it, do the business of 1 in 10,000 people." Qian Fang nodded. Lu Ligan and Mr. Han talked about their Dragon Family project. Mr. Han nodded and said, "Gangzi, your idea is right. In fact, you are familiar with this. I don't need to say more. Your paradise with Westlake Throne, it's not about doing well. You have been focusing on building the best quality house. This is the right way." Lu Ligan asked again about the project Xiao Ding mentioned. Mr. Han waved his hand and said, "We will go see the specific project tomorrow. I will only tell you about the city of Sanya. There will definitely be a lot of potential here in the future. Every inch of land will be valuable. Why? The reason is very simple. In such a big country, the temperature difference between the north and the south is so big. It is suitable for vacation to escape the cold. Taiwan is not convenient to go to. There is only one Hainan island. In Hainan, Sanya's geographical advantage is even better than that of Haikan. Think about it. Is it difficult to think about this place well? If the mainland is good, Hainan will be better. As the mainland develops, the value of Sanya will increase. Be unearthed. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to Gu Chan, Zongkai 727, Wyoming, Daos Hung 123, user 267124206, Xifeng, WXD 121, and book friend 201906211331102536 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1354. The next day, Xiao Ding came to pick them up at Shanhaishan Hotel. They all took a minibus and left Dadonghai. They drove straight along Sanya Bay and past the three-way intersection to Phoenix Airport, which is Tianyahaijiao Scenic Area. When they arrived at the gate of Tianyahaijiao, Xiao Ding told them that they were almost there. This place was right between Tianyahaijiao and Nanshan Scenic Area. It could be said that tourists who came to Sanya would definitely pass by here. The car continued to drive forward for 5 or 6 minutes. Xiao Ding asked the driver to turn onto a dirt road with no road signs on the left side of the road. They drove to the end of the road and reached the foot of a mountain. Xiao Ding said to stop, and the driver turned the car stopped. Everyone got off the car and found that this was a bay surrounded by mountains on three sides. In front of them was a large mangrove and coconut forest, extending forward to the seaside in the distance. Xiao Ding pointed to this large area in the bay in front of him. Land, Zhang Chen and the others said, this is the more than 1,200 acres of land I mentioned, from here to the seaside. Then he pointed to the mountains surrounding the back and told them that these mountains are all on this side, totaling more than 3,400 acres. This entire Hongtang Bay is the site for the botanical garden. Zhang Chen and the others looked at it and thought it would be really good if it was turned into a tropical botanical garden and bird park. These mountains and the sea in front of it are natural barriers. Mr. Han pointed to the mountain behind him and asked Xiao Ding, Director Ding, is there a way up there? Can we see more clearly from above? Xiao Ding said yes, but the road is a bit difficult. Mr. Han said, don't be afraid, let's go up the mountain. Xiao Ding took them along a rugged mountain path to climb up the mountain. The mountain is not high, with an altitude of only more than 300 meters. But as Xiao Ding said, the road is a bit difficult to walk on the mountains in tropical areas, the plants are it's crazy long. As long as there are fewer people walking on a road, it won't take long for it to be covered by shrubs and weeds. After walking for a while, they need to stop and look for a way to continue. They climbed for more than an hour, covered with sweat, and finally reached the top of the mountain. Standing on the top of the mountain and looking down, they immediately felt that the climb was worth it. The entire bay below was really beautiful from the top of the mountain. The large area of green plants surrounded by the dark-colored crater is lush and green, with a melancholy mist under the sun. It is connected to the azure sea in the distance. There is a thin line between the green woods and the blue sea. The long white beach is like a zipper, pulling green and blue together. Zhang Chen liked this place after just one glance. The cool sea breeze quickly took away the sweat on his body. He thought that if he came to do this project, he would definitely build a house on the top of this mountain with a huge terrace and windows. He would open the windows and let the wind fill the whole house. If there was such a house, he thought, he would definitely bring Xiao Zhao and sit on the terrace like this in the wind. He would keep talking to Xiao Zhao, and Xiao Zhao would definitely like it here. Isn't this a good place? Xiao Ding asked Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen nodded. Xiao Ding also nodded, and then said, it's a pity that money is needed to do it, otherwise I, the deputy director, will quit my job and take this place. They came down from the mountain and returned to the city. It was almost 12 o'clock, but Zhang Chen still asked Xiao Ding to take them to Renmin Road to see the 32 acres of commercial land. The so-called commercial land is actually a 4-story facade building. The original Sanya Supply and Marketing Cooperative building had a sales department on the first floor, offices on the second floor, and dormitories on the third and fourth floors. Zhang Chen saw that the entire corridor was blackened by oil smoke. It looked like the corridor of their Yongchengwu opera troupe. The 4 floors add up to more than 3,600 square meters. Behind the building, there is a courtyard and a bungalow of more than 200 square meters, which was the original warehouse of the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. The house was already very old. Xiao Ding opened the door and went in, pulled the light cord, and even the electricity was turned off. They walked around upstairs and downstairs in the dim light, covered in stinky sweat again. Xiao Ding and Zhang Chen said, this dilapidated building is worthless. If you take it, it will be demolished. Lu Ligan muttered, why is it a supply and marketing cooperative again? We are in Wuhan, and the district government gave us the building of a supply and marketing cooperative. Xiao Ding smiled and said, it's normal. Supply and marketing cooperatives were the largest commercial system in the past. There are supply and marketing cooperatives in every township below. Now, they have almost been withdrawn. The assets of the supply and marketing cooperatives have also been disposed of. Nowadays, Supply and marketing cooperatives are still preserved at the provincial level, but there are basically no such institutions down below, and this one has been vacant for several years. They went back to Ban Muishan Hotel. As soon as they got in the car, CAO Minfang called back to the hotel's catering department and asked if there were any private rooms now. The other party told them that a private room was already available, and CAO Minfang asked them to speed up the table, turn on the air conditioner, and ask Master Fu to help us arrange the dishes. There were 11 of us in total. They went to the box and sat down. Xiao Ding asked Zhang Chen, "What do you think, Mr. Zhang?" Zhang Chen looked at Mr. Han. He wanted to hear Mr. Han's opinion. Mr. Han had not expressed his opinion all morning. Then Zhang Chen asked him. He looked at Xiao Ding. Lu Ligan immediately understood. Mr. Han's he was afraid of the presence of a local official like Xiao Ding, so no wonder he kept silent. Lu Ligan quickly said. Mr. Han, Xiao Ding is one of our own, our brother, you can say anything. I see Mr. Han laughed, then I'm not welcome. Zhang Chen said yes, Mr. Han, you say it. Mr. Han said, Mr. Zhang, if you look at the problem in a different way, there will be no question of whether to do it or not. Zhang Chen thought for a while and didn't understand what this new idea was. Zhang Chen smiled and said, I really haven't figured it out yet. Please give me Mr. Han's advice. What do you think of building a resort hotel in that place? Mr. Han asked. Not bad, Zhang Chen said, I was thinking about this issue in the car earlier. If we build a hotel, we can make the best and most unique hotel in Sanya. It is different from the hotels in Yalong Bay and Dadonghai. Here the hotel can be placed on the mountain and turned into independent villas. Zhang Chen said. Mr. Han smiled slightly. After Zhang Chen finished speaking, he looked at him. Mr. Han said, we agree. I think so too. Since there are mountains, we must make good use of them. Mountains, seas, and sky are all things that can be used very well. Why do hotels in Sanya only know how to use the sea? Mr. Zhang, if you have this idea, think about it again. If this botanical garden and bird park were just the landscape of your hotel, would you still think it is not worth building? Which hotel in Sanya would have such a large area, private gardens, with such rich plants and birds? How can they compare with you? Mr. Han said, and Zhang Chen's eyes lit up. But, Mr. Han, there are strict regulations on the land used for hotels. It should not exceed 1% of the total area. 1% of the hotel and 99% of the landscape, Lu Ligan said. Don't forget that this can be calculated based on net land use. 46 acres, which is more than 30,000 square meters. The floor area ratio is calculated as 0.5. The villas on the mountain are not easy to be too big or too high. If it is a hotel, it is like a garage. Kitchen, study room, nanny's room, etc. can be omitted. A clean 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom apartment can be rented. In this way, 100 square meters will not be used. In the entire area, almost 200 large and small villas can be built according to the terrain. Do you still think this hotel will be small? Mr. Han said. No, Mr. Han Mengping said, if so, what about the functional areas of the hotel? What functional areas? Front desk, conference room, restaurant, and gym, right? Yes, these occupy quite a large area, Mengping said. Generally they take up 1/3 of the hotel. Mr. Han looked at Xiao Ding and said with a smile, this is a tropical botanical garden. The botanical garden does not need administrative office rooms. The botanical garden does not have a reception hall, restaurants, and conference rooms, and it cannot have a gym. These can all be administrative offices of the botanical garden. Office. Xiao Ding smiled and said nothing, and everyone else suddenly realized. Lu Ligan said, Sly, now you think this is a botanical garden. It's not 2 in 1, no, 3 in 1. The hotel, botanical garden, and bird park will be established separately. The latter two will be established first, and the functional areas required by the hotel will be planned. When the hotel is built, you will build villas one by one. Just add it up slowly, and I guarantee that your land for 200 villas will not exceed 1%, Mr. Han said. I admire that you can still have this idea. Even Xiao Ding had to praise Mr. Han for this idea. So cunning that there is no leakage, Meng Ping said. Mr. Han and Zhang Chen said, now that your botanical garden has been built, I suggest you make it all free from the beginning. Since you can't get much money from the tickets, you might as well not charge it. If you don't charge it, Xiao Ding and his local government will be in trouble. Why? Lu Ligan asked. It's not your first day dealing with government departments. You confiscated the tickets and turned this place into a face-saving project for the local government. On the other hand, you can cry about being poor. Everyone knows that you have no income. It's reasonable for you to cry about being poor. You are crying for poverty. Xiao Ding and the others are unlikely to say they will give you a subsidy, but they will find a way to submit a document and give you another 100%. Before Mr. Han finished speaking, Xiao Ding burst out laughing. He said, Mr. Han, you still understand us. If you don't say this, I was going to tell Mr. Zhang, but I didn't say it to you. You are so elegant. What I want to tell Mr. Zhang is, occupy the latrine first and then shit. Everyone laughed. Are there so many people living in hundreds of villas? Tan Shahen asked. In normal times, wouldn't they all be idle? It won't be idle, Cao Minfang said. We usually receive meetings. For each meeting, there are always a few leaders. They can stay there. Moreover, for high-level meetings, they may all choose to go there. In addition, I think we can take many forms. The villas there can be rented daily, monthly, or annually. For those who are rich, we rent the villas to them at rents ranging from 100,000 to 200,000 a year. They will definitely welcome it. I don't know about the others. Lao and I will definitely welcome them, Lu Ligan said, and everyone laughed. Mr. Han smiled and said, did you see that we have even found a way out? Mr. Zhang, what do you have to hesitate about? Don't forget what I told you last night. From Sanya onwards, every inch of land will definitely be valuable. Director Ding is in front of you. That sentence, whether it's crude or not, still gets to the point. Everyone understands that what Mr. Han said about Xiao Ding is to occupy the manhole first and then shit. Thank you, book friend 201812130816148886 for the reward. Thank you for your monthly pass, Zipanjiang1, and Zifeng. Why can't I change my name? Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening, everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1355. Mr. CAO, if you expand your nursery, how confident are you that your flower and tree rental business can maintain the operation of the botanical garden? Zhang Chen asked Cao Minfang. You mean to go to the botanical garden? Cao Minfang asked Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen is right. Then I am at least 90% sure that I can double the current business volume, Cao Minfang said. Xiao Ding smiled and said, are you embarrassed to say 100%? According to me, this expanded business volume can not only maintain the operation of the botanical garden, but also make money. Zhang Chen also smiled and said to Xiao Ding, okay, I will do this project. Xiao Ding patted his thigh and shouted, great, I will report this matter to the deputy mayor in charge immediately. He stood up, picked up his mobile phone on the table and walked out. After 5 or 6 minutes, he came back and told Zhang Chen that the matter was finalized and he would sign the agreement when he went to work. Also, Mayor Su, now that he has come out, he must see you. I asked him to come directly here. When Cao Minfang heard this, she quickly stood up and told Xiao Ding, Go to the small conference room number 1 and I will make arrangements. Xiao Ding said yes. They all sat in the box for a while. Lu Ligan and Mr. Han said, "Are you going to take a nap?" Mr. Han said it was still early, and I usually don't go to bed until 3 o'clock. Then go to the hotel over there and give us lessons. We will have good weather after a long drought, Lu Ligan said, and Meng Ping, Tan Shehen, and Jian Fang all agreed. Everyone stood up. Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, Mr. Han, and Tan Shehen took the CMB back to Shanhaitian Hotel. Zhang Chen and Xiao Ding were waiting for Mayor Su here. Lao Tan was also preparing to leave with Lu Ligan and the others. Xiao Ding and Lao Tan said, "Brother, please wait a moment. Mayor Su also wants to meet you. You are old friends." "Who, which Mayor Su do I know?" Old Tan was surprised. "It turns out to be from Baoding," Xiao Ding said. "Su Lixing? Is he the deputy mayor of Sanya?" Lao Tan asked. Xiao Ding nodded. Old Tan laughed, "Then I really want to meet him. When I was at the base, he was still the deputy county magistrate in Baoding." "Yes, he said that his elder brother helped him a lot at that time," Xiao Ding said. "Why are you helping?" Lao Tan smiled and said to Zhang Chen, "The army and the people jointly built it. Hainan was relatively poor at that time. Our troops just supported them with more supplies." The three of them were chatting and laughing as they went downstairs and went to the lobby downstairs to wait for Vice Mayor Su. They waited on the sofa in the hotel lobby for more than 10 minutes. A Buick stopped at the door of the hotel. When Xiao Ding said this, the three of them stood up and walked towards the door. A man of medium build but very strong got out of the car, probably Su Lixing. With a dark complexion and a somewhat bowed look when standing, Zhang Chen could tell at a glance that he was a native of Hainan. The Hainan natives on the east and west coasts are probably the descendants of fishermen. Most of them have somewhat bowed legs. Just like the Japanese, even young girls almost always have somewhat bowed legs. After the man got out of the car, he habitually put his hands on his hips, then raised his eyes and looked around. Then he saw Lao Tan and the others. He stretched out his right hand and shouted loudly, "Lao Tan, Lao Tan." After taking a few steps, I held Lao Tan's hand. Lao Tan also smiled and said, "I didn't know that your brother got promoted in Sanya. You're such a high-ranking person. After so many years, you've only taken 2 small steps. You, old Tan, still don't understand me. I just talk too fast, talk too much, and easily offend people." Lao Tan quickly introduced Zhang Chen to him and told him that this is Mr. Zhang, my little brother. "Okay, boss." Zhang Su Lixing reached out and shook Zhang Chen's hand, and then said, "Let's do it together." Then he put his arms around Lao Tan and took him into the hotel, as if he was the owner, but Lao Tan came to the hotel to see him. Zhang Chen was even a little confused about what he said, which made him feel that Deputy Mayor Su came to the hotel not to see him, but to see Lao Tan and get to know him. The 4 people arrived on the 4th floor. Zhang Chen and his hotel's small conference room number 1 did not have a conference table. Instead, there were more than a dozen single sofas placed along the surrounding walls. According to CAO Minfang, this was due to the guests' request. As for the decoration, those guests said that only when companies and enterprises have meetings, they will gather around a conference table. They all have meetings like this. A meeting is not called a meeting, it is called a discussion. Any issue is discussed. Today we will discuss this matter. That's it? Everyone is sitting on the sofa, drinking tea, and discussing it? CAO Minfang and Zhang Chen said. The 4 of them sat down on the sofa. Before Zhang Chen could speak, Su Lixing said to him, "The matter is settled like this. Boss Zhang, you are Lao Tan's brother, so that's even better. When you get to work, let Xiao Ding arrange a scene, sign an agreement and it's done." Zhang Chen said yes. Su Lixing then threw Zhang Chen and Xiao Ding aside, and talked enthusiastically about their past events with Lao Tan. Xiao Ding patted Zhang Chen's hand and stood up. Zhang Chen also stood up. The two of them walked to the terrace outside the conference room and leaned against the railing to smoke. Xiao Ding and Zhang Chen said, "Mr. Zhang, I thought about it and realized that the land cannot be expanded out of that area. We should try to expand the area of the mountainous area a little more and give you the entire hillside along the road. This will make it easier for you to dig mountains and clear roads when the time comes." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, thank you. Also, the sea area is not under the jurisdiction of our municipal government, but the Provincial Oceanographic Bureau. I have a good relationship with Xiao Zheng. I will call him tomorrow and ask him to try to get another 500 acres of sea area, just in case you want to make a fuss at sea. There is also a way out, of course, the application report must come from me." "That's great. Thank you so much," Zhang Chen said. "Don't thank me in advance. This is just my idea. I'm not sure whether it can be done. As long as you understand this matter." Zhang Chen said, "Okay, I understand." After smoking a cigarette, the two returned to the conference room. Lao Tan and Su Lixing had already talked about their own family affairs. Su Lixing knew that Lao Tan was newly married, and his wife also came with him this time. Su Lixing said, "My family members have also been transferred to Sanya. So, Lao Tan, I will be on duty on the second day of the new year. On the third day of the new year, you can take your wife to my house for dinner. You are not allowed to shirk or refuse to come." Lao Tan smiled and said, "Okay, I'll definitely be there if you have something to eat. I also want to see my younger siblings. I haven't seen them in many years." After finalizing the meal, Su Lixing stood up and told Lao Tan and Zhang Chen that I would leave first. It was New Year's Eve and I asked the driver to go home early. Lao Tan and Zhang Chen both agreed. Xiao Ding sent Lao Tan back to Shanhaitian Hotel. Zhang Chen went to Cao Minfang's office. Fatty Fu happened to be there. Zhang Chen said, "Master Fu, I was just going to find you." "What's the matter?" Fatty Fu asked. "I have something to discuss with you," Zhang Chen said. He looked at Cao Minfang and asked, "Do you still remember the supply and marketing cooperative building we went to at noon?" Cao Minfang smiled and said, "I'm not stupid. I went there at noon and now I have forgotten." "How about we make use of it?" Zhang Chen asked. "I was thinking about this when I was looking at it at noon." Cao Minfang asked, "How to use it?" "Renovate it and turn it into a hotel. Isn't it too busy when eating here? Let's build another hotel there." "You mean like your Hangzhou Tuxiang Garden?" Cao Minfang asked. "Yes, this house is just right. It would be a pity to demolish it. The original sales department on the first floor can be used as the lobby, and the second, third, and fourth floors can be used as private rooms. Just install 2 elevators from outside the house. The warehouse at the back can be used just right. Be the kitchen." As Zhang Chen said, Cao Minfang also sat up straight. She said, "Yes, the place is in a good location and can be used as a hotel. The chef only needs to be sent from here. Yes, the chefs and waiters are all under unified management. In this way, when the hotel in the Botanic Garden opens again, we will uniformly deploy and manage the personnel in the 3 places, so that the personnel can be fully utilized." "Where is this building you are talking about?" Fatty Fu asked. Cao Minfang told him where it was and said to him, "I will drive you there to have a look later. The emphasis of our 3 hotels is still different. The one in the Botanical Garden is definitely aimed at hotel guests and tourists. Here, it is also mainly for hotel guests, right? The hotel in the urban area is mainly for Sanya citizens. They are used to it. Let's eat seafood in a side oven, and let them try Chef Fu's Hunan cuisine and spicy seafood. Hainan people also like to eat clay pot. When the time comes, let Hui Huan come and teach these chefs how to make clay pot. I heard from Cao Minfang that Hui Huan has created many new dishes. Fatty Fu said, and Zhang Chen nodded repeatedly, yes, you can ask Hui Huan to come over then. The three of them roughly discussed it, and Cao Minfang stood up and said to Zhang Chen, let's go together and take you to the hotel. I'll take Master Fu there to have a look, and we'll start cooking the New Year's Eve dinner when we get back. Zhang Chen said okay, I will go back to the room and make a design sketch first, and you can give me your opinions. Cao Minfang and Fatty Fu both agreed. Cao Minfang drove Zhang Chen to Shanhaitian Hotel, and she and Fatty Fu went to Renmin Road. Zhang Chen went upstairs, walked to the door of his room, and rang the doorbell. After a while, He Hongmei came over and opened the door. When Zhang Chen saw her, he said excitedly, it's done. This botanical garden has been decided to be built. Unexpectedly, the deputy mayor in charge is also an old friend of Brother Tan. We will sign the agreement as soon as they get to work. He Hongmei did not go there in the morning. Zhang Chen kept describing the scene of that place to her, and told her their plans. He also said that he was planning to open another hotel on Renmin Road and that the building of the supply and marketing cooperative would only need to be renovated. It's ready to use. Zhang Chen kept talking. When he saw He Hongmei's unhappy expression, he quickly stopped the conversation and asked, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? No, He Hongmei shook her head. Zhang Chen reached out to touch her forehead to see if she had a fever, but He Hongmei ducked away. After a while, she looked at Zhang Chen and asked, for such a big matter, you didn't think of listening to my opinion before making a decision? Since you have already made up your mind, what's the point of telling me this again? Zhang Chen was stunned, and He Hongmei continued, of course, you are using your own money. If you want to buy it, I have no right to interfere. No, Zhang Chen became a little anxious and blurted out, that's not the case. In the past, Xiao Zhao was like this whenever anything happened. I would tell her after I decided. As soon as the words came out of his mouth, Zhang Chen knew that he was wrong. To him, he wanted to defend his behavior today, which was no different from before. But to He Hongmei, he must have thought that he was taking advantage of her and Xiao Zhaobi. Sure enough, He Hongmei's face turned cold and she said, Xiao Zhao is Xiao Zhao, I am me. After saying that, she turned around and walked out. When Zhang Chen came to his senses, the door had been closed behind her. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to Murin, Jack Linda, Win Sanliu, Yuingzi, Huangpu 20th issue, Guandian Electrical and Mechanical, Love Purple, Qingdao La Sun, Not the Impossible World, Book Friends 201809062232049344 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1356. Zhang Chen walked to the balcony and looked down. After a while, he saw He Hongmei walking out of the door of the hotel below, walking through the garden dappled with sunlight and shade, and walking towards the white-flowered beach in front of the garden. Zhang Chen took 2 bottles of water from the refrigerator and went downstairs. He saw Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, and Tan Shuhen in the lobby bar, surrounding Mr. Han, listening to what Mr. Han was saying. Zhang Chen did not walk over, but walked straight out of the hotel door. The heat wave was rolling outside. Zhang Chen walked out, and walked towards the beach in the sunshine and shade of trees on the ground. The beach at this time was empty, with no one around. Zhang Chen saw He Hongmei lying on a wooden deck chair under a parasol not far away. Above, there was a row of tall betel nut trees, blocking half of the vicious sunshine. Half of the red and white parasols are in the shade of the trees, and the other half is shining in the sun. Zhang Chen walked over in the sunshine and stood next to He Hongmei. He Hongmei closed her eyes and felt someone approaching. She opened her eyes and looked at Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen handed her the water. She said thank you and took it. He placed it on his belly and closed his eyes again. Zhang Chen sat down on the recliner next to him and fell down. Although the recliner was not exposed to the sun, it was still hot. Zhang Chen was covered in sweat in an instant. He quickly sat up and turned to look at He Hongmei. Lying there quietly, Zhang Chen was surprised when he saw tears hanging from the corners of her eyes. I'm sorry, Zhang Chen said. He Hongmei opened her eyes, looked at him and asked, what are you sorry for? I shouldn't have said that, Zhang Chen murmured, but I really don't mean to compare you with Xiao Zhao. I just want to tell you that I am no different today than before. I know you have always been so domineering before, and Xiao Zhao wouldn't say anything, but do you know that when you make many decisions like this, Xiao Zhao has been secretly worried. Sometimes, she could only cry alone, and when she called me, she was crying too. Zhang Chen was surprised. If He Hongmei hadn't told him, he would have never known that Xiao Zhao had been so worried. He remembered that when he was the only one working on the lakeside oil painting gallery, Xiao Zhao had reminded him that he was not doing his job properly. But it didn't stop him. Thinking about it this way, when he decided to buy the Yan'an Road specialty store and accept Kuning Garment Factory, when he made these decisions, they were actually beyond their capabilities at the time and he took a big risk. If Xiao Zhao wasn't worried, it's really impossible. He thought that Xiao Zhao had told him that he would have to start all over again if he could do it. Now that he thought about it, it was really his decision and Xiao Zhao's helplessness after passively accepting it. Zhang Chen sighed and said, I don't know these things unless you tell me. Thinking about it this way, I am really a bit arbitrary many times. It's not arbitrary, it's just that there is no one in your heart at all, He Hongmei said. Impossible, how could I not have Xiao Zhao or you in my heart, Zhang Chen quickly defended. Then tell me, if there is someone in your heart, why don't you tell me first, He Hongmei asked. I understand, are you so proud that you look down on others and feel there is no need to tell us? Anyway, if you don't understand anything, it's okay for you to make the decision. Zhang Chen was speechless. He felt that there was some meaning in it, but it wasn't true. He said he looked down on Xiao Zhao and he didn't want to admit it, but his behavior, in the eyes of others, was really what it was. However, Zhang Chen felt that he had been like this since he was a child. He decided everything by himself, and his parents couldn't do anything about what he decided. Just like he decided not to take the exam for the Academy of Fine Arts, he would never make up for his cultural classes to get into the Academy of Fine Arts. Wasn't it just this that made Lao Zhang angry with him, including who later in the theater troupe Can You Command Him? Including when he was with Jin Lily, the same was true. The two of them almost fell out over whether to go to Lao Tan Company or whether to take over the Wanghai Tower project. Zhang Chen admitted that he was indeed proud and could easily look down on others, but he would never admit that he would look down on Xiao Zhao, including He Hongmei. Zhang Chen said, I am a little proud, and sometimes I look down on others. It's not a little bit, but I'm very proud and look down on others. Do you think all designers are trash? He Hongmei asked. Zhang Chen nodded, they are garbage. If someone says that your design is not good, your first reaction is, what is wrong with it, or what do you know? He Hongmei also sat up and crossed her legs on the chair. She looked at him and asked. Zhang Chen opened his mouth but made no sound. Tell the truth, He Hongmei said. Zhang Chen said honestly, what do you know? Ha, isn't it? What I said is right. You are partly right. I may look down on others easily, but I definitely do not look down on you and Xiao Zhao, Zhang Chen argued. No. No. Okay, let's talk about today's matter. Tell me, you called Tan Shahan, Qian Fang, and Cao Minfang this morning. Why didn't you call me, He Hongmei asked. That's because we are going to see the project today. Tan Shahen and Jian Fang are both in this industry. Of course I have to ask them to go and help with reference. Cao Minfang is in charge of matters in Sanya, so of course she will go, Zhang Chen said. Do you think that since I'm not in real estate and don't understand anything, you don't need to listen to my opinions at all, right? No, no, I didn't think of this at all. Ha, I was right again, I said there is no one in your heart at all. Zhang Chen was so anxious that he was sweating. He didn't know whether it was because of the heat or because he was forced by He Hongmei's words. Why did he always fall into what she said when he went around and around? Zhang Chen said, I think you are different from others. You don't need to call at all. If you want to go, you can go by yourself. If you don't go, I thought you didn't want to go, so I didn't force you. So many people were having breakfast together, and you stood up and said, Tan Shahen, Jian Fang, and Cao Minfang, come with us to the scene after dinner. You said it so seriously and you didn't even call me. How could I have the nerve to go? He Hongmei asked. No, no, it shouldn't be understood this way. Then I didn't call Ganzi, Mengping, and Lao Tan. Didn't they go there too? Zhang Chen said, I didn't call you because I really felt that you were different from others. You feel like you are a family member and the master, do you still need to ask? When we are eating at a table, would you ask the guests to eat more vegetables, or would you ask your own family to eat more vegetables? He Hongmei stared at Zhang Chen for a while, then she laughed and said, Okay, your last words are reasonable, I forgive you, come here. Zhang Chen leaned over. Kiss me, He Hongmei said. Zhang Chen kissed her, He Hongmei hugged him, and he fell down. The two of them were dripping with sweat, but they still lay on a chair hugging and kissing. There was a click and the chair broke. Before the two people could react, it had rolled to the side under the sun. The sand was hot. The two people jumped up and left. They returned to the room. The two of them took a shower in the bathroom and couldn't wait to get on the bed wet. After finishing wet, He Hongmei shouted, No, no, no. What's wrong? Zhang Chen asked. I will often quarrel with you in the future, He Hongmei said. Don't you think the feeling after the quarrel is particularly good and intimate? You make me feel particularly gentle. Zhang Chen laughed, but he also felt that it was really a very intimate feeling. The two hugged each other, and even though their hair was still wet, they fell asleep unconsciously. It wasn't until Xiaoshu and Yao Fen knocked on the door, urging them to leave, that the two of them got up in a hurry. The New Year's Eve dinner was still being served in the conference room. When Zhang Chen and the others arrived, he saw Cao Minfang waiting for them here. Zhang Chen then thought that he had not yet finished the sketches. He said he had gone back to the room to draw. Zhang Chen asked Cao Minfang, would you take Master Fu there? Seen it already? I've been there, Cao Minfang said. How is it? Zhang Chen asked. Master Fu also said that this place can win, Cao Minfang said. Zhang Chen said yes, so to speak, we have the same idea. Cao Minfang nodded. At midnight, He Hongmei had fallen asleep. Zhang Chen lay there but was not sleepy. As soon as he closed his eyes, what appeared in his mind was either the shadow of the Renmin Road Hotel or the future plan of the Botanical Garden. Zhang Chen couldn't bear it. He looked at it. Looking at He Hongmei beside him, he quietly removed her arm on his chest and got out of bed. He walked to the living room next door, took out his sketchbook and pen, sat down, and wanted to draw what was in his mind. For some reason, he felt that if He Hongmei saw that he was not sleeping with her, he would not be able to draw these things here. Great. He thought for a while, stood up, turned off the lights in the living room, opened the door and walked out. Zhang Chen took the elevator to the first floor, walked to the sofa in the lobby, sat down, spread out his sketchbook and started drawing. He drew 7 or 8 pictures in one breath for more than an hour. He felt that his brain was exhausted, and then he stood up. He returned to the room, which was still dark. He put away his pen and sketchbook, tiptoed back to the bedroom, climbed onto the bed, and lay down. He Hongmei was still sleeping soundly. With the faint light of the night light, Jiang Chen quietly looking at He Hongmei, I felt distressed in my heart. He felt that this was still his lover, but something seemed to be quietly changing between them. Jiang Chen sighed softly. Almost at the same time, he heard He Hongmei sighing softly in her dream. Jiang Chen saw her brows frowning slightly and stretched out his hands to gently smooth them out. He Hongmei moved and stretched out her hand to hug Jiang Chen. Thank you Zifeng and Huangpu for your 20th monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1357. The next few days were calm. On the first day of the new year, Xiao Ding took them to Nanshan, where they played in the big and small caves and watched Guanyin on the sea. When going to Nanshan, the car passed the end of the world. When passing the fork in the road, Jiang Chen did not tell He Hongmei, who was sitting next to him, that this is where the project was entered. That is to say, starting from the afternoon of New Year's Eve, neither Jiang Chen nor He Hongmei mentioned this project again. It was not until the 6th day of the lunar month, when everyone started to discuss the return trip, that Jiang Chen said, I can't go back yet, I have to stay here and wait. They go to work on the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. When Jiang Chen saw it, He Hongmei sighed, but she said nothing more. Jiang Chen didn't know if his intentional avoidance these days gave He Hongmei the illusion that he had given up on the project. The air tickets for the return trip were all compiled by Tan Shehen and then handed over to the business center for booking. Earlier, He Hongmei and Tan Shehen said that she would go back to Hangzhou with them and then go to Beijing from Hangzhou. At this time, she told Tan Shehen that Shehen's sister Zhen, I'd better go directly to Beijing instead. Help me book the earliest ticket to Beijing tomorrow. Why? Is there something going on in Beijing? Tan Shehen asked. Someone just called me and made an appointment, He Hongmei said. Tan Shehen looked at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen avoided her inquiring eyes and said to her, Brother Tan and I will stay here while you go back. By the way, Tan Shehen, in my company, the labor union was a little chaotic just after it started. Please help me. Take care of it. Tan Shehen said yes. Everyone knew that Jiang Chen and Lao Tan stayed to sign an agreement for the botanical garden, but everyone seemed to have made an appointment and did not mention this matter in the past few days. Only when Lu Ligan and Jiang Chen were alone together, Lu Lirod asked, What's wrong with the Sichuan girl? Is she going to hit the brakes? Jiang Chen smiled and said, The arrow is on the string and I have to shoot it. Can I still step on it? Think about it, Jiang Chen, think about it, is it worth it? Lu Ligan said, I'm not talking about land, I'm talking about people, think about it. Lu Ligan didn't say this, and Jiang Chen wasn't angry yet. But as soon as he said this, Jiang Chen became angry. Why? I just want to do a project, and I'm not doing anything bad. Why should I care? There's nothing to think about. If I decide to do something, I will definitely do it, Jiang Chen said with a bit of a fierce tone. Lu Ligan shook his head, Okay, blame me for talking too much. At night, He Hongmei was leaving the next day. The two of them were sitting on the sofa in the living room. He Hongmei lowered her head and said nothing. Jiang Chen said, After the things here are done, I will go to Beijing, okay. He Hongmei does not ring. This project will be very promising in the future, I am sure, Jiang Chen said. He Hongmei still didn't answer. After a while, she said, Are you not going to make clothes? You have done such a big project in Sanya, do you still have something to worry about making clothes? Zhang Chen wanted to tell He Hongmei, I'm a little scared. I saw reports from various places that sales have been declining. I'm a little scared. Really, I don't know if this clothing has run out. If it were Xiao Zhao sitting here, Zhang Chen felt that he would hold her and tell her all his fears and worries. He would also tell her that things are no longer the past. We can no longer go back to the past, where we have nothing. At that time, I was not afraid of anything. I just felt that it would be a big deal if I had to start over again. Xiao Zhao, why do people become timid when they have more, start to worry about gains and losses, and are afraid of losing? In the past, I never worried that I would wake up with nothing. As long as you are still there, it is enough. But now, even if I don't have you anymore, why am I still more and more afraid of losing you? Zhang Chen shuddered. He forgot whether it was Xiao Fang or He Hongmei who had mentioned subconsciousness. He felt this subconsciousness now. It was not that he was comparing Xiao Zhao and He Hongmei subconsciously, but that he was subconsciously afraid to tell He Hongmei about his fear. Zhang Chen couldn't figure out what made him unable to speak. He Hongmei sighed and said, do you have the feeling that we may be too close? What do you mean? Zhang Chen asked. He Hongmei smiled reluctantly and said, if you get too close, the demands will be more. To be honest, I don't even know. Isn't it just a project? What do I have to object to? It's not that I object to it, but it seems like I'm betting on it. It's really ridiculous. I turned it into a multiple choice question between it and me, and gave it to you to choose, and in the end, you chose it. He Hongmei looked at Zhang Chen, her eyes were empty. Isn't it ridiculous? He Hongmei asked Zhang Chen. Isn't it ridiculous? Tell me, isn't it ridiculous? I got into a fight with it. I actually got into a fight with it. You think it's not funny? Tell me, isn't it funny? He Hongmei kept asking, and finally started to cry. Zhang Chen reached out and hugged her. He Hongmei was trembling in his arms, shaking her head and saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be like this. I should say sorry, Zhang Chen said. No, you are not wrong, it is me who is wrong. I knew that these messy things would happen. I knew that we should not get too close. If we get too close, I have no way not to ask you. There is no way. But, if we don't get closer, I can't help it. I just want to be with you, and I just want to miss you beyond expectations. What do you think I can do? He Hongmei cried and Zhang Chen hugged her tightly. He Hongmei raised her head and searched for Zhang Chen's mouth with her mouth. The two kissed each other and were unwilling to separate for a long time. Tears kept flowing from He Hongmei's eyes. Zhang Chen and He Hongmei said, either, I won't do this project, and I will go to Beijing with you. No, He Hongmei still shook her head, it's not about the project. Without this project, I would have had trouble with it on other things. Damn it, I shouldn't have gotten too close to you, and I just shouldn't have asked. You are so proud, how can I tame you? I can do it. For you, I can do nothing, Zhang Chen said. Don't say it, don't say such things against your will. If that happens, you will feel aggrieved and suppress yourself. It won't last long, and it will explode in the end. By that time, you will hate me. This kind of anger will make you angry. We are both ruined, He Hongmei said. The two of them hugged each other, and He Hongmei kept talking and crying. Finally, she shook her head and said, I don't want to think about it anymore. I can't think about it anymore. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I want you. Hug me over. Zhang Chen picked her up, and He Hongmei pointed her finger in the direction of the bedroom, laughing. Zhang Chen hugged her and walked there. He Hongmei lay in Zhang Chen's arms, her body soft. Zhang Chen did it carefully, as if he were holding a piece of porcelain in his arms, and it would break if he was not careful. The two of them lay there. He Hongmei kept saying, "Hug me, hug me." Jiang Chen hugged her tightly. He Hongmei tried hard to shrink her body, trying to shrink completely into Jiang Chen's arms. "Just keep holding me like this, okay?" He Hongmei murmured. Jiang Chen said yes. "For one night, don't let go, just hold me like this, okay?" Jiang Chen said yes. Jiang Chen really hugged He Hongmei like this all night. When the sky outside washed the curtains little by little, He Hongmei woke up. The two got up and went downstairs to have breakfast. He Hongmei asked Tan Shahan to book the earliest flight for her. When they sat face to face for breakfast, He Hongmei asked Jiang Chen, "Are my eyes swollen?" Jiang Chen nodded. "Did I cry when I fell asleep?" He Hongmei asked. Jiang Chen nodded again. He Hongmei giggled, "I just knew that I would cry all night, so I asked Sister Shahan to book the earliest flight for me so that they wouldn't see it." "Smart, right?" Jiang Chen nodded and said he was smart. Jiang Chen drove Cao Minfang's car to take He Hongmei to Phoenix Airport. After completing the check-in formalities, the two of them stood at the security checkpoint. He Hongmei and Jiang Chen said, "Master, can we make an agreement?" "What agreement?" Jiang Chen asked. "From now on, we will meet at most once a month, do you agree?" "Is that necessary?" He Hongmei nodded and said yes, "I'm scared. As I told you, I'm scared of getting too close. It might be best to keep a little distance. Promise me, okay?" Jiang Chen stood there, looking at her without speaking. He Hongmei said softly, almost pleadingly, "I don't want to lose you. I don't want us to look at each other angrily one day. Promise me, okay?" Jiang Chen said yes. He Hongmei stood up on her tiptoes, kissed Jiang Chen, turned around and waved her hand and said, "Let's go, you can go back too." She walked a few steps forward, turned around, and saw Jiang Chen following behind. She put her hand on Jiang Chen's chest and told him, "Just stand here and don't move." Jiang Chen stopped. He Hongmei took a few steps forward, turned around, and said to Jiang Chen, "Master, I wish you good luck." As she spoke, she made a writing motion with her right hand. Jiang Chen knew that she was referring to signing a contract. At about 12 o'clock, Jiang Chen picked up his mobile phone and looked at it. There was no text message on it. Jiang Chen calculated the time. No, He Hongmei's flight should have arrived in Beijing. In the past, no matter where he went, He Hongmei had arrived. When you turn on your phone in the cabin, the first person you will send a text message to Jiang Chen is, "Dear, I'm here." Will the flight be delayed on a day like this? Jiang Chen was surprised and shook his head. After more than 10 minutes, Jiang Chen took out his phone and looked at it. There was still no text message. He couldn't help but dial it, but the call was connected. After the phone rang a few times, it was picked up and He Hongmei's voice came, "Hello. Are you here?" Jiang Chen asked. "Well, here we are, already on the way back to the car," He Hongmei said weakly. "Why didn't you send a text message?" Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired, I forgot." After He Hongmei finished speaking, she hung up the phone. Jiang Chen held the phone in his hand and was in a daze. He thought about the problem again. He felt that something was quietly changing between them. "Thank you Eternal Evergreen Emperor Yan for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Everlasting Emperor Yan, Tianying 1978, Su Ming's Ray, Why Can't I Change My Name, and No Future, Only the Original Intention. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1358. On the seventh day of the Lunar New Year, all the people in the brigade had left, leaving only Lao Tan and Jiang Chen still in Sanya. In Jiang Chen's Banmuishan Resort Hotel, Many guests who came to Sanya for the Spring Festival have also returned to the mainland and are getting ready to go to work. On this new day of work in the year, there will be no conference guests coming. By the end of February, the number of meetings and trainings began to increase. This time is also the slowest time of the year for their hotel. Zhang Chen and Lao Tan moved back to Banmuishan Resort Hotel from Shanhaishan Hotel. They were the first to see off He Hongmei today, and then went to the airport to see off Lu Ligan, Chu Tianlin, and Zhang Chen's parents from Hangzhou. After that group sends Mengping and the others away and returns to the hotel, the two of them will have nothing to do. Originally, Xiao Ding and the others wanted to come over to accompany Lao Tan and Zhang Chen, but they were driven away by Lao Tan. Lao Tan said that he would go to work tomorrow, so you should take it easy. Xiao Ding and Zhang Chen said that the matter of the 500 acres of sea area has been implemented by Xiao Zheng. I have also drafted the application report. I will send it to the Provincial Oceanographic Bureau when I get to work. There is also the mountain top, Mayor Su. There is no problem here, I have already communicated with you, and this matter can be decided as long as it is discussed at the mayor's office meeting. Zhang Chen quickly raised his hands and said, "Thank you, thank you. Okay, it's just the two of us, let's have a good drink tonight," Lao Tan said to Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen agreed. During dinner, the two of them didn't go to the private room. Lao Tan thought the private room was too deserted and it would be a waste for the two of them, so they chose a table near the floor-to-ceiling glass in the hall and sat down. Although it is winter, the night in Sanya comes late. At around 6 o'clock, night has fallen in Hangzhou and the lanterns have begun to turn on. However, in Sanya, on the deserted Daidonghai beach in the distance, there is still an orange afterglow at dusk. Take it away at the end. What's going on between you and Hongmei? Lao Tan looked at Zhang Chen and asked. Hongmei is a nice girl. We all have noticed her for so many years. Zhang Chen nodded and agreed with Lao Tan that Hongmei was a good girl. Zhang Chen and Lao Tan said. Actually, there's nothing specific, but it just comes from time to time. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it doesn't feel very in tune, and the rhythm doesn't seem to match up. Lao Tan said, be patient. You and Xiao Zhao have been together for more than 10 years, and you and Hongmei have only been together for a while. There is always a process of adapting to each other. You are a man, so sometimes you have to let her go. What the elder brother said is, I know. Zhang Chen thought for a moment and said to Lao Tan, but it's strange, I'm not comparing Hongmei with Xiao Zhao, but Xiao Zhao, elder brother, you also know that she and I from the first day we were together, we felt in sync, and there would never be a time when the two of us were out of sync. There's no competition yet. You are just competing. Xiao Zhao is accommodating you and will accommodate you in everything. Hongmei has more personality than Xiao Zhao. As old Tan said, Zhang Chen thought of what he Hongmei said about Xiao Zhao secretly crying alone. It seemed that brother Tan was right. Xiao Zhao was indeed accommodating himself, and he was accommodating himself in everything, so that he could feel it was very comfortable, but Xiao Zhao carried the uncomfortable ones alone. Zhang Chen couldn't help but sigh. The harmony between these two couples when they are together is not love, but habit. Once they get used to each other, they will get along with each other, and then they will not get used to being without each other. That's what happened to you and Xiao Zhao. You were already used to each other, but Xiao Zhao suddenly left. You have to accept the fact that she is no longer here, and have to get used to living without her. Lao Tan raised his glass, and Zhang Chen also raised it. The two clinked and took a sip of wine. Lao Tan continued. But now you have to learn how to switch. You, Zhang Zi, and Zhen Zhen are all from the troupe, but I see that you haven't learned how to switch. This scene has passed, and the curtain call has ended. You will come back after you get off the stage. When you go on stage, the play is a different play, and the person should be a different character, but you always bring the original character back. You are with Hongmei now, so you have to get used to being with her, including getting used to this person's temperament. Look at Zhen Zhen and Zanzi. Sometimes I feel anxious for them when I watch from the side. It's such a good show. Why do they always sing wrongly? You don't want to learn from them. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "Brother, what you said is so good, I will remember it." It's no use just remembering it, you have to do it. That Pole and Zhen Zhen are both smart people. They should also understand this truth, but when they do it, they don't understand. How could this happen? The people around us, the more I read, the more confused I become. Zhang Chen nodded and said, "Don't talk about you, brother. I think I know the Pole and Tan Shahen best. I don't even understand what they are doing. If I ask them, I can't find out why. By the way, brother, don't just talk about us. How are you and Sister Tianlin doing now?" "Very good, you know that we are all people who have been hurt in this regard, so we cherish being able to come together. If anything, as you said, we will understand each other when we don't get along well." Old Tan said. "That's great, I'm so happy for you," Zhang Chen said. "You and Hung Mei must also learn to understand each other, think more from each other's perspective, take a step back, and there will be room in the middle, so you won't be so fussy about it. How can the tip of a needle meet the on of wheat and force each other to fight with a bayonet? Can they meet each other? If there is room in the middle, then the tip of the needle is the tip of the needle and the awning is the awning, and they can still live in harmony." "Yeah, brother is right." Zhang Chen raised his cup. "Here, let's go one by one." After taking a bath, Zhang Chen turned off the lights in the room. In the darkness, he stood in front of the window and looked at the stars below. He picked up his mobile phone and called He Hungmei. He said a few words and the two of them held it in hand. Everyone was silent while talking on the phone. After a while, Zhang Chen heard He Hungmei sigh on the phone. She said, "I am not willing to accept it, master. I just am not willing to accept it." "Why are you unwilling?" Zhang Chen asked. "I'm not willing to just leave like this, master. After passing the security check this morning, I really want to run out again," He Hungmei said. Zhang Chen said with some embarrassment, "Actually, Hungmei, when we were at the airport, I really wanted to keep you and tore up your ticket." He Hungmei smiled and said, "Why didn't you do this?" "I'm afraid that things will get worse," Zhang Chen said. "Are we bad now?" He Hungmei asked. Zhang Chen was speechless for a moment. He stretched out his fingers and drew on the glass along the shape of the swimming pool outside the window. He painted to the farthest end of the swimming pool. He had to stand on tiptoe to complete the painting of the entire swimming pool. When he stood on tiptoes, he thought of He Hungmei standing on tiptoes and kissing him at the airport in the morning. At that moment, he should hug He Hungmei and tell her not to leave. He Hungmei sighed again on the phone and said, Sometimes I don't know what to say to you. Do you think that if you say don't leave, you are begging me and you are giving in? Alas, you are still too proud and you just refuse to give in." He Hungmei said, and Zhang Chen thought about it. He felt that he was indeed a little proud, but in fact, he was also a little shy. He was just ashamed to say don't leave at that time. He felt that it was too little, man, too little. Sentimental. "However, master, I also want to understand," He Hungmei said. "Actually, I am also very proud sometimes. Is it because we are both too proud that we are so unwilling to give in to each other? I know that at that time, if I said saying I don't want to leave, you will definitely say don't leave. I know if I run out from the security checkpoint again, you will definitely be happy, right?" "Yes," Zhang Chen said. After finishing the painting of the swimming pool, Zhang Chen's fingers continued to draw the zigzag paths in the garden one by one on the glass. Horizontally, he took 2 steps from one end of the glass to the other end of the glass. He could finish the painting. The vertical ones were really beyond the scope of his ability. They disappeared in the distance, that is, on the beach high above the window. Jiang Chen couldn't draw them even if he stood on tiptoe. And the sea is higher than the sky. Jiang Chen took a few steps back and left the window. The beach and sea in the distance lowered. He saw a ship at the junction of the deep sea and sky, dragging a little light, which seemed to be fixed in the darkness. A thumbtack, but it is this thumbtack that marks the junction of the sea and the sky and separates the sea and the sky. Jiang Chen thought of what Lao Tan said during the meal. He wanted to tell Lao Tan that if he took a step back, not only would the tip of the needle not touch the wheat on, but he could also see further and see the end of the sea and the end of the sky. Master, what are you thinking about? Hung Mei's voice came from far away, as if coming from the ship. It was wet and smelled of the sea. I'm thinking about Needlepoint and Maimang. You're right. We are the proud Needlepoint and Maimang. We get closer and push each other. We only meet each other if we ask for too much, Jiang Chen said. This metaphor. Hung Mei was stunned for a moment on the phone, and then smiled softly. When she smiled, her eyes were already wet, and she smelled a vague aura of despair. If they were destined to be nothing but needlepoints and wheat-ons. Then it is destined to be a match. This time it was Jiang Chen's turn to sigh on the phone. He said, "It's a pity that sometimes I think clearly, but when I do it, I can't understand it." Hung Mei, I'm sorry. Sorry for what? Hung Mei asked. I don't know what I'm sorry for, but I just want to say sorry to you, Jiang Chen said. Also, I miss you. I miss you too. You are such a pest, Hung Mei said a little coquettishly. Why have I become a pest again? Jiang Chen asked puzzledly. You are just hurting people. You have made me no longer interested in other men, Hung Mei said. Today on the plane back to Beijing, the person sitting next to me was an actor. We had met on the set before. He just kept saying those things, and, I should say, he wasn't a bad-looking person, but I just wasn't interested at all, and I thought the things he said were disgusting. Later, I pretended to be asleep. In fact, I was not sleepy, but I kept pretending to be asleep until I arrived in Beijing. If it were Wen, I think I would have done it today. Tell me, are you a harmful person? Jiang Chen laughed and said, then do you think it's a pity that you didn't deal with him? You. Oh, no, it's you, it's me. I couldn't help but divert my attention, Hung Mei said. Unknowingly, Jiang Chen saw that the shining thumbtack he thought was fixed in the distance had moved from the middle of the window to the right side of the window, and was almost out of the window. Thank you Hoo for the tip. Thank you for your monthly votes from Traveler's Paradise, Book Friends 854 999, Elba King, Sun Boshan, Ming Xi and Jing Xing, Summer is Cool and Autumn, Yuingzi, Wooden Man, Hoo, Ba Liang, and Jinwu Yulong. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1359. Chapter 1358. Who to share with? Thank you Book Friend 854999. On the first day of work, Xiaoding sent a report to the Provincial Oceanographic Bureau requesting the allocation of 500 acres of sea area as the Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden, tentative name, project for future expansion of the Tropical Marine Life Museum. The Sanya Municipal Government and Jiang Chen's company have drafted an agreement to jointly build the Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden, tentative name. The Tropical Marine Life Museum was an idea that Xiaoding came up with on the spur of the moment when he reported to the Provincial Oceanographic Bureau. When he thought about it, he thought it was great. He told Jiang Chen his idea and told him that with this Mr. Jiang, you should really consider building a marine life museum. The original one in Sanya is already outdated. Who would be interested in specimen display anymore? Jiang Chen also thinks that Xiaoding's idea is good. Jiang Chen read the agreement drafted by Xiaoding and thought there was no problem. On the same day, accompanied by Xiaoding, he went to the Sanya Industrial and Commercial Bureau to apply for pre-approval registration of the name of Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden Co., Ltd. Xiao Ding took Zhang Chen directly to the office of the Director of Industry and Commerce. He handled special matters and sent the pre-approval notice to Zhang Chen on the spot, so that Zhang Chen could open a bank account and engrave the official seal. Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden Co., Limited is composed of two shareholders, one is Zhejiang Banmuishan Clothing Co., Limited, and the other is Sanya Banmuishan Resort Hotel. After getting the capital verification account from the bank, Zhang Chen asked Zhao Jingjing to invest 100 million. The registered capital was transferred in the names of Zhejiang Banmuishan Clothing Co., Limited and Sanya Banmuishan Resort Hotel. The construction of the World Tropical Botanical Garden is a major event and a big project for the Sanya municipal government. On the day he went to work, the mayor arranged to hold a mayor's office meeting to discuss Su Lixing's proposal to allocate the entire hilltop to the Tropical Botanical Garden to facilitate subsequent construction. Also discussed their agreement with Zhang Chen, determined that special matters would be dealt with, and the signing ceremony would be held the day after tomorrow, which is the 10th day of the lunar month. While the meeting was in progress, Su Lixing received a call from Xiao Ding, telling him that the Industrial and Commercial Bureau had completed the process, the bank account had been opened, and Mr. Zhang's registered capital of 100 million had been paid out today. Su Lixing immediately reported the matter to the mayor, and everyone in the conference room became excited. They felt that this company was good, not irritating, and acted vigorously and resolutely. It looked like someone who was doing big things, and it was also truly powerful. With 100 million, at that time not a small amount of money. Everyone feels that by handing over the project to such a company, they can rest assured that it will not end up being unfinished or a fishing project like some projects. In the end, their municipal government will need to come forward to wipe their butts for them. Therefore, Su Lixing's proposal to appropriately expand the mountain area of the project to facilitate subsequent construction was quickly approved. On the afternoon of the next day, Xiao Zheng led a deputy director of the Provincial Oceanic Bureau to Sanya, and brought the Provincial Oceanic Bureau to the Sanya municipal government, approving their application report, along with a letter agreeing to allocate it to on the 500-acre sea map used by the World Tropical Botanical Garden. Every point that the line passes through is clearly marked with longitude and latitude. On February 18, 2005, the 10th day of the lunar month, which was also the afternoon of Friday, both parties attended the signing ceremony. The mayor of Sanya City and Zhang Chen signed the agreement respectively. The deputy of the Provincial Oceanographic Bureau, the director, as well as the leaders of the Yulin base, also attended the signing ceremony. Such a large project in Sanya is inseparable from the support of the army. Lao Tan also made an agreement with his old leaders that when this project starts to be built, it will be a joint construction project between the military and civilians, and the base will provide strong support in terms of manpower and material transportation. The signing ceremony was held at Banmuishan Resort Hotel, and in the evening, a celebration dinner was held at Banmuishan Resort Hotel. The dinner was the same as Zhang Chen's during the Spring Festival. It was not placed in a private room or in the lobby. Zhang Chen asked CAO Minfang to place it in the conference room, so that everyone could gather together to appear lively, but it was also separated from other guests. Su Lixing was very happy on this day. After all, he was in charge of the field. How could he be unhappy when such a big project was launched? The other leaders had all left after eating, and there were only 4 of him, Xiao Ding, Lao Tan, and Zhang Chen. Still sitting there. Xiao Ding is a knowledgeable person. When he saw this situation, he made an excuse that CAO Minfang came to see him for something, and he walked away and went to CAO Minfang's office. As soon as Xiao Ding left, the remaining 3 people, Lao Tan said, "Zhang Chen is his little brother, and also your Su Lixing's little brother. Come on, we have no mayor or boss Zhang here today. It's just 3 brothers getting together, having a good drink, and having a good chat. The three people raised their glasses, clinked them, and drank. What they said next was of a personal nature. Putting aside the official words and clichés, Su Lixing said to Lao Tan, "Come on, Lao Tan, I need to clean my ears. It's time you lectured." He explained to Zhang Chen that when we were together before, I just liked to listen to Lao Tan's lectures. As a person, there are not many people who can convince me, but I admire Lao Tan and I like to listen to his lectures. What you're saying is just the truth, Lao Tan said. As leaders, you are used to hearing compliments from others. You really think that you are right every day and wise all the time. Lao Tan, don't fall into this trap. I don't need to buy your fault, I don't buy your fault, and you can't do anything to me, right? I just told a few more truths. See, it's coming. Su Lixing and Zhang Chen laughed. Zhang Chen looked at him and Lao Tan and thought of himself and Li Yong. Their relationship is probably the same. They both started from nothing together. After so many years, their relationship with each other has been established, and there is no need for anyone to complement the other. No matter how your identity and position change, this will not change. Su Lixing and Lao Tan said, "Come on, go on, don't you understand me? Then say a few more words to me to make me happy." Lao Tan looked at Su Lixing and said to him, "You want to say? Okay, then I will tell you. Let me remind you, don't think that the sky is high in Sanya and the emperor is far away, and you can reach out randomly. In today's society, just looking at it will make people dizzy. There are too many temptations and no concentration. If it really doesn't work, I just hope you can control your hands. As a leader, if you can't control your mouth, you will offend others at most. If you can't control your hands, it will violate party discipline and state law. Don't think you can escape." "That's not possible," Su Lixing said. "Don't worry, Lao Tan. At my age, I don't want anything else. I just want everything to go smoothly until retirement and live a stable life. Those messy things cannot be done. Dare to do it, Lao Tan, you understand me?" And Su Lixing. "There are 3 brothers in our family, the eldest and the second have not read any books, so the whole family supported me to go to college alone. Even though I can't do much good to them now, speaking of it, the deputy mayor always has a bright face. If something happens to me, let alone other things, my family will collapse. Lao Tan, you also know that we Hainanese attach great importance to family. I don't just earn face for myself, I also want to earn face for them." Lao Tan nodded and said, "If you think so, then I feel relieved. In fact, when I went to your house for dinner that day and saw that my siblings were still the same, I was half relieved." "Really?" Su Lixing laughed. "Isn't my wife nice? When I was in Beijing, she was a farm employee. She planted rubber and cut rubber every day. She never made any demands on me, and she never said that I had become an official. We have to move her too. At that time, when Lao Tan came to our house, she was like this. Now in Sanya, she is working as an ordinary manager at the farmer's market, taking care of the vendors every day. Is it still the same as before?" Lao Tan said that he was right. "That's why I felt relieved. For those of you who are leaders, if you do bad things, half of them will happen to your wives. To tell you the truth, Su Lixing, I saw the families of those cotters putting themselves to death. By acting like a lady, I know that something will happen to this person sooner or later, and the person who does the bad things is usually the lady's wife." Su Lixing laughed and said, "Old Tan, you are good, but think about it, this is really the case. It seems that in the future, the Discipline Inspection Commission will only need to look at his wife first to review cotters." The 3 of them chatted and laughed, eating and drinking until after 10 o'clock. Xiao Ding came a few times, sat for a while and then left. Finally, he came in and accompanied Su Lixing home. Before Su Lixing left, he told Lao Tan and Zhang Chen that today was really fun. Lao Tan and the others, I can't drink so much, and I don't dare to drink. I still have my wife to go through when I get home. Well, with you, Lao Tan, there will be nothing to worry about and everything will be easy. After seeing off Su Lixing and Xiao Ding, Zhang Chen and Lao Tan sat in the lobby bar for a while and drank tea. Lao Tan asked Zhang Chen what he was going to do next. Zhang Chen said, I want to set up an expert group immediately. Let them give expert opinions first, and then ask Jacques and Jason to come over and start planning the entire project. Jacques should be good at doing this. Lao Tan is right, expert groups are most needed. How to plan, which plants and birds to introduce, including in the botanical garden, and how to distribute these plants, all need expert opinions. We can't mess around, let alone useless efforts. By the way, experts should not only be invited from China, but also from abroad. They are more familiar with the external situation. Zhang Chen is right, I think so too. Lao Tan thought for a while, and he told Zhang Chen, you call Jason, their company has done many projects in Singapore, and they should be in contact with the University of Singapore to see if they can help introduce it to you. Zhang Chen said yes. The two went upstairs, and Zhang Chen returned to his room. He took out the agreement from his bag and read it again. In the agreement, the area of the entire World Tropical Botanical Garden is 500 acres of sea and 1,280 acres of land. 15.3 acres, 4,164.8 acres of mountainous land. Such a large piece of land will be your own world from now on, and you can make a lot of achievements. Zhang Chen became excited when he thought about it like this. He quickly took out his phone, found Xiao Zhao's number and was about to dial it. In the past, when he signed every project, the first thing he would do was when Xiao Zhao received a call about this matter, he would definitely shout on the phone. Really, honey, that would be great. When Zhang Chen was about to make a call, he realized that Xiao Zhao was no longer there. Zhang Chen stared at Xiao Zhao's number for a while and sighed. He found He Hongmei's phone number again. He stared at the number on the screen, but hesitated. He didn't know what he should say to He Hongmei after the call went through. He didn't know what He Hongmei would say when he received the call. Zhang Chen sighed again. He put his phone on the sofa next to him, feeling a little disappointed. He took the agreement and read it again, then put it down, picked up the phone next to him, found Lu Ligan's number, and dialed it. The phone rang twice and was connected. Zhang Chen and the person on the phone say, Pol, I have signed the agreement here. Great, Zhang Chen, so you are the landlord of Sanya, ready to dominate the mountain and become the king, Lu Ligan shouted on the phone. Thank you book friend 854 999 for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly ticket, Wooden Man. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1360. Xiao Zheng introduced Zhang Chen to a professor from Hainan University. Zhang Chen went to Haikan to visit the professor. The professor also introduced Zhang Chen to a professor from South China Agricultural University and a professor from Zhishuangbanna Tropical Botanical Garden, Chinese Academy of Sciences. He was an academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and he asked Zhang Chen to speak with this academician. Jason's company, as expected by Lao Tan, has a lot of cooperation with the National University of Singapore. He helped introduce a professor from the National University of Singapore. Zhang Chen talked with him on the phone and emailed him about the Sanya Tropical Botanical Garden. I explained my project and my plans to him in detail. The professor also introduced a professor of botany from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. The University of KwaZulu-Natal is a famous university in South Africa. Its agriculture and botany majors are very famous in Africa. In this way, Zhang Chen quickly organized an expert team consisting of 5 academicians and professors. It was the holiday now, and members of the expert team quickly arrived in Sanya at Zhang Chen's invitation. At the same time, Jacques and Jason also arrived in Sanya from Canada and Hong Kong with their respective teams. The expert team worked in Sanya for a week and first produced an outline of expert opinions. After returning, they will separately write a detailed report. The entire report is expected to be more than 100,000 words, taking into account all aspects of the botanical garden. Arrived, especially the list of plants that need to be introduced. Many plants need to be applied to the Ministry of Agriculture in advance in the name of the World Tropical Botanical Garden. If the procedures are not complete, the customs will not allow the import. The expert team, together with Jacques and Jason, held 3 meetings and put forward their suggestions for the planning and design of the entire botanical garden. After that, Jacques still followed his original working method, taking the tent and disappearing. The weather in Sanya was hot, so sleeping bags were no longer needed. Zhang Chen specially asked someone to buy him a bamboo mat, rolled into a roll, which was very convenient and comfortable. The tent was slung on his back, and Jacques was very grateful for this gift. For a week, Jacques did not appear again. Zhang Chen, Lao Tan, and Jason had become accustomed to his disappearance and knew that he was going to find the soul of this land, and it was up to him. Jacques' team continues to collect hydrological, soil, geological and meteorological data in an orderly manner, as if Jacques has never existed. Zhang Chen and the others are very busy now. They are busy setting up a preparatory office for the World Tropical Botanical Garden. They need to recruit some engineering and technical personnel. After the personnel are in place, they also start the renovation of the Renmin Road Hotel. Zhang Chen was worried that CAO Minfang would be too busy, but CAO Minfang said yes. Although she knew nothing about civil engineering and decoration, Zhang Chen still appointed her as the head of the preparatory office and handed over the decoration work of the Renmin Road Hotel to her. Zhang Chen himself helped her on the side and teach her when she encounters something she doesn't understand. Zhang Chen did this for a reason. Sanya is so far away from Hangzhou and his main business is in Hangzhou. It is impossible to stay in Sanya for a long time. Sanya now has so many projects. If it weren't for someone like Cao Minfang, Zhang Chen would really feel uneasy if someone he could trust was in charge. You can learn anything you don't understand, but you can't learn character. Cao Minfang originally didn't know much about hotels or gardening, but she still managed to make their hotel and nursery a success. The key to anything is whether you use your care or not. Lao Tan agreed with Zhang Chen's view and told him that generals in the armed forces are easy to come by but hard to find. Xiao Cao is your general in Sanya. She is very similar to Zhen Zhen in doing things and has an unwillingness to admit defeat. Zhang Chen and Lao Tan stayed in Sanya until mid-March. Looking at things here, they found that everything had been arranged. They then returned to Hangzhou. Next, Zhang Chen needed to stay in Hangzhou and Sanya. Ran. Zhang Chen returned to Hangzhou and went upstairs to the dynamic zone. Su Qiaxin was in the corridor on the 2nd floor. When he saw him, he shouted, "Marshal, you are finally back. Don't run away. I have many things to report to you, Su Qiaxin." He yelled and ran downstairs. As soon as Zhang Chen walked into the office and sat down, Su Qiaxin came in. Zhang Chen asked her, "What did you just call me?" Su Qiaxin giggled, "Commander, aren't you our Marshal Zhang? Deus Hui Zhang was in Huanggyutun and died after a blast." "Are you cursing me to die too?" Zhang Chen asked. No, I don't know what the hell you are talking about." Okay, I'll call you Mr. Zhang," Su Qiaxin said quickly. "Tell me, what do you want from me?" Zhang Chen said. Suki Oxen started chattering, talking about the business of their foreign trade company, this Anderson, that Xiao, and that damn Peter. Zhang Chen was confused and his head was spinning, so he quickly stopped him. Suki Oxen. Don't talk to me about business matters. You are the general manager of a foreign trade company. You have to be able to make your own decisions. Do you understand? Zhang Chen said. Oh, Suki Oxen nodded. If you encounter something you really can't solve, come back and talk to me again. Do you understand? Suki Oxen nodded again. Oh, I understand. Ki Oxen, let me ask you something. As the general manager of a foreign trade company, how do you think you are doing? Zhang Chen asked. Suki Oxen frowned, looked at Zhang Chen and said, I don't know either. You don't know your own work? Zhang Chen asked. Suki Oxen curled her lips and said, just so. Objective comment. Suki Oxen chuckled, the business volume is increasing every year, is it okay? Zhang Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and asked, what's the difference between passable and so? Yes, this one is better than that one, Suki Oxen shouted. Ki Oxen, how about I give you another task? Zhang Chen said. What mission? Suki Oxen asked. You are still the general manager of the foreign trade company. In addition, how about I appoint you as my assistant to the general manager? Me? Be your assistant? Suki Oxen opened her eyes wide and looked at Zhang Chen and asked. Zhang Chen nodded. We have a lot of investment in Sanya now. I need to travel between places frequently. After you become my assistant, you can help with many things in the company when I am not in Hangzhou, Zhang Chen and Suki Oxen said. Why not Ji Ling? Suki Oxen asked, she came before me, and she is still your apprentice. When you become my assistant, you are also my apprentice. Am I qualified to be your master? That's enough, forget about English, Suki Oxen said. Zhang Chen laughed and said, your Chinese needs to be improved. I know what you mean, but the literal interpretation of your words is that I can't speak anything except English. Suki Oxen pursed her lips in embarrassment and said oh again. Zhang Chen told her, Ji Ling can't be distracted. I'm often away, so Ji Ling's design tasks are even heavier. She's also in charge of private customization. She has to come up with many plans, and then let her if she does more things, she won't have time to design herself. You also know that the entire design center is the lifeblood of our company. And who is that? That damn Zhao Zhigang. He doesn't even have time. There are thousands of people in the factory to take care of, and there are such heavy production tasks. How can he have time to come to the company again? Do you think I have a lot of time? Suki Oxen looked at Zhang Chen suspiciously and asked. I think you have a strong learning ability and a good ability to deal with people. There are dozens of factories under your foreign trade company that place orders for them. You can handle so many factories of different types and industries. Your own business is still doing very well, and you still have time to smile playfully, which means that your potential has not been fully realized, and I can still give you more tasks. Mr. Zhang, are you trying to squeeze me dry? Suki Oxen asked. Zhang Chen said yes, that's what it means. Who asked you to be Suki Oxen and said, I will give you 5 seconds to think about whether to do it or not. Do it, Suki Oxen said. Okay, then I will send out the appointment letter later. From now on, you will be my assistant to the general manager. But Mr. Zhang, I have never been an assistant like this, what should I do? Start from the finance department next door. The first step is to learn to read statements. Zhang Chen picked up the phone on the table and called Zhao Jingjing over. After Zhao Jingjing came over, Zhang Chen told her that from today on, Suki Oxen will be my assistant to the general manager. You first teach her basic financial knowledge and let her prepare the reports. Get it figured out. Zhao Jingjing said yes. She looked at Suki Oxen and said to her, let's go. Okay, okay, Su Qiaxin and Zhao Jingjing said, you have to teach me and learn how to do it. You can't keep it? I'll treat you to delicious food. Zhao Jingjing smiled and said, it depends on your mood. If you make me happy, I will teach you more. The two of them were laughing and preparing to go out. Zhang Chen stopped them and told them, there is one thing that you two should do together, that is, go to the Industrial and Commercial Bureau to find out if there are so many companies below us, can we set up one? Banmuishan Group, if it is possible, please handle it as required. Su Qiaxin and Zhao Jingjing both agreed. Su Qiaxin asked Zhao Jingjing, should we go to the Industrial and Commercial Bureau first, or should you teach me how to read the report first? Zhao Jingjing looked at her watch and said, it's 10 o'clock. Let's go to the Industrial and Commercial Bureau first, and then you can treat me to lunch. There is a Daniang dumpling shop next to the Provincial Industrial and Commercial Bureau. I'll go. Are you starting to extort money now? Su Qiaxin shouted. Zhao Jingjing laughed and asked, then you said you were lying about treating me to delicious food. Okay, let's go. Then we'll have dumplings for lunch. Zhang Chen watched the two of them go out and shook his head. He picked up the phone on the table and called the design center. He asked Ji Ling to come over and appointed Su Qiaxin as assistant to the general manager. Others, whether it was Zhao Zhigang or the second-hand goods, Hagen, Huihuan, and Zhao Xian all have their own stalls and are relatively independent. It doesn't mean much to them whether they have this assistant to the general manager. Only Ji Ling was also upstairs. Zhang Chen was worried that Ji Ling would have ideas because of this, so he needed to communicate with Ji Ling and tell her his concerns about why he could not appoint her as assistant to the general manager. They were both women of about the same age. My child, if you don't explain it clearly, you might get upset in your heart. Regarding Ji Ling and Zhao Zhigang, Zhang Chen has actually made arrangements in his mind. Once the group company is registered and established, Zhang Chen is ready to appoint Ji Ling as the group's deputy general manager and design director, and Zhao Zhigang as the group's deputy general manager and Zhejiang Banmuishan Clothing Co., Limited General Manager. In addition, Hagen will also be the Deputy General Manager of the group and the General Manager of the M-Zone Sports and Leisure Products Market. These are the three largest and most important areas under him, and they are also the main source of profit for their entire enterprise. Thank you for reading the book every day, and for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly pass from Salted Fish Sewer. Book Friends 201906091429499291, Air is Not Human, Guzayo Kaiokyu, Book Friends 201809062232049334, Light and Thin, Rainman, Yuingzi. Thank you for all the recommendation votes and reading, and I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1361. When Zhang Chen was in Sanya, he called He Hongmei and invited her to go to Sanya again. He Hongmei said that there was something wrong and did not go again. Zhang Chen returned to Hangzhou yesterday, and He Hongmei came today. Zhang Chen felt that he understood something. In He Hongmei's own words, going from Beijing to Hangzhou is a return trip, and going to Sanya is probably a trip. He Hongmei likes the feeling of going back. I don't like the feeling of going there. Women are always so sensitive in such small places. Especially for someone like He Hongmei who pays so much attention to details. Zhang Chen went to the airport to pick up He Hongmei. He Hongmei came out of the exit. At first glance, the two of them were a little embarrassed and shy, as if they had just met. But when Zhang Chen hugged her and He Hongmei also put her hands around his waist, both of them felt distressed and reluctant to let go. He Hongmei's face was pressed against Zhang Chen's shoulder, and she refused to leave for a long time, causing everyone around to look at them. She was still on Zhang Chen's shoulder, and took a gentle bite. This bite contained longing, complaint, and there are grievances, and there is also the desire to merge with the body immediately. Jiang Chen could feel the temperature of He Hongmei's body and her heartbeat through her clothes. Leaving, Jiang Chen asked quietly. Yeah, the head on Jiang Chen's shoulder kept nodding. The two walked arm in arm towards the parking lot outside. After getting in the car, Jiang Chen didn't start the car immediately. Neither of them said a word. They leaned towards the middle of each other and hugged each other and kissed each other. When Jiang Chen drove out of the parking lot and drove on the airport expressway, He Hongmei asked, "How is the situation in Sanya?" "Everything went smoothly," Jiang Chen said. "Then are you going to Sanya soon?" He Hongmei asked. Jiang Chen was right. When things here are settled, we will go there. The two projects are starting at the same time. Cao Minfang is a bit stressed. After all, she has never done this before. "Have you ever done a botanical garden before?" He Hongmei asked. "I have done decoration and landscape engineering," Jiang Chen said. He Hongmei does not ring. After a while, Jiang Chen asked, "What about you, everything is okay?" "Well, everything is fine," He Hongmei said. Jiang Chen held the steering wheel with his left hand and stretched out his right hand to hold He Hongmei's hand. He Hongmei's hand lay docilely in his hand, and one finger was still scratching his palm back and forth, which was a little itchy. The two of them arrived at Splendid Home and got out of the car. Jiang Chen opened the trunk and was about to take out He Hongmei's suitcase inside. He Hongmei held down his hand and said no. Jiang Chen was a little confused, but he still let go of his hand. The two of them went upstairs and entered the door. He Hongmei shouted, "I'm going to see Xiao Zhao." She walked into Xiaofang's room and closed the door. Jiang Chen was sitting on the sofa in the living room smoking. 10 minutes later, He Hongmei came out with red eyes and said to Jiang Chen, "Let's go." Jiang Chen was stunned for a moment and asked, "Where are you going?" "Hotel," He Hongmei said. "I think I'd better stay in a hotel." Jiang Chen wanted to ask something, but didn't ask. He stood up, and the two of them went downstairs. They didn't talk all the way. They went to the International Building anyway. The front desk was already an old acquaintance. When they saw them coming, they took it. "Give them the key card and say to them, 1806. He Hongmei asked, "Is the ID card no longer needed?" The receptionist smiled so softly that I could even recite it. After saying that, she helped He Hongmei fill out the accommodation form. He Hongmei raised the key tag in her hand and said with a smile, "Thank you." The receptionist picked up the pen in her hand, shook it, and said, "You're welcome." The two people entered the elevator and stood leaning against the wall, looking at each other, trying to tell what the other wanted to say from the other's eyes. Jiang Chen looked at He Hongmei and asked, "Is this what you said? Don't get too close." He Hongmei averted her eyes and said, "I want to give it a try." On the 6th floor, the elevator door opened, but there was no one outside. Someone probably wanted to go downstairs, so he pressed the down button and the up button at the same time. "Itchy hands," He Hongmei cursed softly. As the elevator continued to go up, Jiang Chen smiled bitterly and said, "The four old people are probably dying of anxiety." "Don't tell them I'm here," He Hongmei said. "If uncles and aunts ask me, I don't know what to say." Jiang Chen said yes. He Hongmei raised her head, looked at Jiang Chen and asked, "Do you know what I said to Xiao Zhao earlier?" Jiang Chen shook his head. "I told her that I really wanted to be her, and I tried hard, but I just couldn't do it. I told Xiao Zhao that I was tired." The two looked at each other, tears already welling up in He Hongmei's eyes. Jiang Chen stretched out his hand, and He Hongmei took his hand. When they arrived at the 18th floor, the elevator door opened. The two of them stood there without moving. When the elevator door was about to close again, Jiang Chen stretched out a foot to block it. The elevator door reopened and Jiang Chen pulled He Hongmei up. Suitcase and said to her, "Let's go." The two people entered the room. As soon as the door closed behind them, He Hongmei hugged Jiang Chen from behind. Jiang Chen turned around and hugged her too. Jiang Chen's mouth went to He Hongmei's mouth, but He Hongmei avoided it. She said, "Promise me, there will be no Jiang Chen or He Hongmei today. We are just a man and a woman. You need me and I need you, okay?" Jiang Chen said yes, but his mouth was blocked by He Hongmei's. When they woke up, it was already dark outside. Both of them were very hungry, but they felt like they couldn't bear to leave the room. He Hongmei said, "Let the following deliver the food and we would eat in the room." Jiang Chen said yes. He Hongmei sat up, leaned against the bed, picked up the order card and phone on the bedside table, and started to order. Jiang Chen hugged her and kissed her. He Hongmei squirmed. When she couldn't help it anymore, she put down her order card, covered the phone with her hand, and whispered to Jiang Chen, "Don't make trouble, it's itchy." Neither Jiang Chen nor Jiang Chen paid any attention to her. He Hongmei could only continue to twist her body, hold back her laughter, and finish the meal, but in the end, laughter still leaked out. She threw the phone away and shouted, "Okay, I'm here, who is afraid of whom?" He Hongmei got out of bed, walked to the cabinet, took out the nightgown inside, put it on, then took out another nightgown, walked over and told Jiang Chen to get up quickly, the food delivery person would be here soon. She picked up her and Jiang Chen's clothes and waste paper from the carpet beside the bed. She put the clothes into the cabinet and threw the waste paper into the trash can in the bathroom. When she came back, she saw Jiang Chen still sitting there. On the bed, he shouted, "Get up quickly." Jiang Chen smiled and said, "Just wait until you ring the doorbell and I'll get up again." "No, no, I need to sort it out," He Hongmei said and came to pull Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen had no choice but to get up, put on his nightgown, and walk to the sofa to sit down and smoke. He Hongmei arranged the pillows on the bed neatly, smoothed the sheets and quilts, and then breathed a sigh of satisfaction. Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh as he watched her doing all this. He said, "You can be free at home, so why go to this hotel and have to be monitored?" "You don't understand," He Hongmei said without looking back. Jiang Chen walked to the window, opened the curtains and looked down. Standing in the window of the international building, he could see the Banmusian store not far below. He saw the neon lights of the store flashing, and the store at the door. The open space was illuminated like daylight, and people were coming in and out of the store's door. At Wang Minzhen's milk tea shop nearby, there was still a long queue as usual. Jiang Chen felt that many people came here either to buy milk tea or to queue up. What they liked was the ritual of queuing up to buy milk tea. If there is no one in line, they may not come. There are no more gypsophila in the flower beds and trees at the entrance of the specialty store. They disappeared after a unified rectification operation on Yan'an Road. As long as it is a unified action or centralized management, it doesn't matter how beautiful your things are. However popular it is with everyone and does not affect the appearance of the city, it must be eliminated uniformly. Jiang Chen sighed softly. This familiar place, seen from a height or from another angle, is actually a bit strange. Just like He Hongmei today, Jiang Chen is actually a bit strange, but because of the strangeness, and it seems to be more fresh, as if it needs to be more pure, there is almost no need to think about anything, just desperately sucking the tenderness given by the other party. Jiang Chen really felt like glue. How wonderful is this word! It was as if they had just met for the first time today and their honeymoon had just begun. He Hongmei came over, hugged him from behind, rubbed her face on his back, and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Jiang Chen was about to answer when the doorbell rang. He Hongmei bounced it away like an electric shock and shouted, "The food is here." He ran towards the door with his bare feet on the carpet. Jiang Chen stood there without looking back. He heard the door behind him open, heard the waiter saying hello, your meal to He Hongmei, heard the squeaking sound of the dining car rolling on the carpet, heard the plates, and the sound of plates clattering gently was heard as the waiter placed the dishes on the desk one by one. Zhang Chen heard the waiter say, "Wish you a happy meal." The dining car continued to squeak, then went out, and then the door closed. Only then did Zhang Chen turn around. After finishing the meal, they put the tableware on the corridor at the door, closed the door, and the two hugged each other again. Zhang Chen said that he was full and could exercise for digestion. He Hongmei laughed, "Okay, okay." At about 11 o'clock, both of them were hungry. He Hongmei said that she didn't want to go to a place with familiar people, so she excluded the Urquo stalls in Tuxianjiayuan and Longxiangqiao. Needless to say, Urquo in Tuxianjiayuan. The stall owner is an acquaintance. I saw a new Macau Dulao opened on Xintang Road. How about we go eat Macau Dulao, Zhang Chen said, and He Hongmei agreed. The two of them ate at Dulao in Macau for more than 1 o'clock. They returned to the hotel and took a shower together. While taking a shower, the two hugged each other again. He Hongmei smiled and said, "No way, are you today?" But the laughter is joyful. After it was over, He Hongmei and Zhang Chen said, "Hello, go back." "What did you say?" Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment and asked. He Hongmei looked at him and said seriously, "I said, you can go back." Too serious to be refuted. Zhang Chen drove the car and walked on the way home. He thought about every detail of today in his mind. He thought that he had thought of the word glue like today, and he couldn't help but sigh. He felt that their bodies were very close today, so close that they were indistinguishable. It's hard to leave, but a certain place seems far away. He Hongmei was rejecting the feeling of home that Xiao Fang mentioned. He Hongmei said, "We are just a man and a woman. You need me and I need you, okay?" He Hongmei said, "I want to try it." "Thank you Hu for the tip." "Thank you Hu, Jinwu Lanji, and book friends 201802111053215229 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.